young lady who went missing and was later found. She'd been strangled to death. Similar MO as Hueremann. Makes me wonder, this was left. I read a lot of things, and it really is sad. But look at the identity of this man. It looks like Hueremann. It is Hueremann to me. Has anybody tested the DNA in this case yet? Because I would be really interested in knowing that. I feel he is the unidentified serial killer in South Carolina and Virginia. This case says, on March 2nd, 1996, Alicia Showalter Reynolds of Baltimore, this is after Sandra Costello, Baltimore, Maryland, said goodbye to her husband, and left her home. It was a Saturday at about 7:30 a.m. Alicia planned to drive more than 150 miles to spend the day shopping with her mother in Charlottesville, Virginia. She left early, giving plenty of time to be at the mall by 10:30. Alicia's mother arrived on time, expecting her daughter at any moment. But when Alicia was late, Sadie Showalter became worried. At one point I said, the weather is kind of bad this morning, there will be a little fog, and could have been some slick roads. Maybe she just slowed down a little bit. Go give her a little while and give me a call back. Sadie continued to wait for an hour passed, and 2, and then Alicia never showed up. 6 p.m. in the evening, Virginia State Trooper found Alicia's car abandoned on the highway near Culpeper, Virginia, 50 miles from the shopping mall. A white napkin had been tucked in the windshield wiper, a commonly used signal for car trouble. When the car was examined, however, there was no mechanical problem. The next day, the local news began broadcasting reports of Alicia's disappearance. Police set up the roadblock where Alicia's car was found, hoping to track down people who may have seen something. At least 3 people claimed they saw Alicia talking to a clean-cut white man with dark-coloured pickup truck. Close to 20 women called to say they had recently been approached on the highway by a man fitting the exact description. Police began to realise whatever happened to Alicia might have been a plot that had been evolving for weeks. According to Special Agent Thomas Carter with the FBI, Virginia, most of the witnesses talk about a man who would have come up behind them or beside them in the dark, small pickup truck, flashing his headlights, honking at his horn, looking in any way he could to attract their attention. Most of the women that did have some concern for their vehicle did manage to pull off to the side of the road. He immediately jumps underneath the vehicle, conducts an examination, comes out, and then engages them with a very polite conversation about mechanical difficulties that he has allegedly uncovered. At this point, the helpful stranger usually offered to drive the women to the nearest phone. At least 2 women accepted his offer, and nothing happened to them. Other women found the stranger to be anything but courteous, Agent Carter says. Some of the women would not pull over for him, but merely went to the next exit or to their destination and had someone else look at their vehicle. The only instances where they have found the individual became agitated were those instances where women either refused his assistance or refused to pull over for him, and in those instances there would be a display of anger by him, such as pounding his fists on the steering wheel or murmuring things under his breath. Wow. I'll read on more at the minute. It's interesting. I do feel like there is victims because his mother lives in Virginia, his brother lives in South Carolina, you know, he has property there. He has all them acres. They're 18 acres, you know, so yeah, it's interesting. I hope you can see me. Yeah. She said in the first moment she met him, he was soft-spoken, seemed to be trustworthy. She had no problem with it at all, and she knew that she needed a ride home. She didn't know how to get home, so she accepted the ride. As they were going along the road, he would slow down and make the excuse that he could see because of the vehicles behind him, and he would pull off the road. He did this 3 times. We believe that he was trying to establish a place to do something. She became very frightened. She fought him, and he decided he didn't want to fight with her, so he pushed her out of the car. Yeah. The woman broke her ankle, but she got away. 7 days later, Alicia Reynolds was not so lucky. Oh gosh, the 7th of May. Now it's always like around them times, isn't it? May, in the summer, you hear these girls go missing when it's Hueremann. It's like always round, and the way she was found as well is definitely Rex. She broke her ankle 2 months after she disappeared. After the body was found in a wooded area 15 miles southeast of Culper, she had been murdered, perhaps on the same day she disappeared. Rich Jenkins from Virginia State Police suspects Alicia's killer may have been doing the same thing somewhere else. It is possible the individual fled the area, possibly state, and may be in another community now, where he may be preparing to start this same type of behaviour again. I'll read you some of the comments. This was on April 2025. I read somewhere that fingerprints and hair believed to be from the killer. If true, why haven't they uploaded the DNA to GEDmatch like they did with the original Night Stalker and find relatives of the killer and narrow it down? Legal consequences. Okay. I mean, she had a really good job as well. A scientist, you know. She was going to do good in the world. Evil. He doesn't care who he sacrifices. It's not that he doesn't respect any woman, especially powerful ones. He does definitely have that resemble the Night stuff. Okay, I'll read a bit of the Google. Rex Human is not this. I mean, how does this fucking AI know? It's never been fucking caught. Rex Human was arrested. Is there still more murders in the places? Probably not. So naive. Get your AI sorted out. Okay, I'm going to read a bit of Reddit with you. I mean, look at the face. I mean, guys. I'll show you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Can't wait for my glasses. I can't see a damn thing, man. Let's zoom in. What's the second picture? Let's have a look. Yeah, here we are. Oh, someone's put an affidavit together. Nancy Poe, her pseudonym being duly sworn, deposes to say, I am over 18 and reside in the state of New Jersey. Nancy Poe is my pseudonym. I am using the pseudonym for protection of my life and health and safety. I have stated my real name and separate affidavit, which I have provided to John Ray. Okay. I am giving my affidavit regarding an encounter with a man I believe is Rex Hueremann, the man currently charged in the List case and the alleged killer of 3 women. I desire that the proper authorities pursue the investigation with this sordid encounter as soon as possible. I currently live in New Jersey, but from 1993 to 2001, I lived in Richmond, Virginia, heading towards Charlottesville in a little suburb called Glen Allen. I moved my family's new house in that area in the spring of 1997 near a secluded community park with a little lake in the back called Echo Lake Park off Francistown Road. I believe it is here that in late August or early September 96, I had a run-in with Rex Hueremann. After this event occurred, I immediately told my husband, mother and sister and now deceased father. I began taking martial arts and did so for 10 years. And even now, every time I go for a run, I remember him. So, yeah. There's people out there who've met him and all in a negative fashion. It's not okay. Well, let's just read, and there's nothing to prove. Yes, as of yes, that it's Rex Hueremann. So let's just keep an open mind. I read this article back when I alleged that a Gilgo killer was apprehended. After watching the Netflix documentary, I started to think about other areas he may have operated in. He has ties to several other areas which I've mentioned in the doc, but omitted Virginia, which is the article makes clear case for. I certainly looks like this sketch, and the victim in this case gave a sworn affidavit swearing it is him. It's worth noting that there's no guarantee that the perpetrator of the crime was the Route 6029 Stalker, okay? Just that this happened in an area during a period of time those crimes were being committed. Do you think Rex Hueremann is the Night Stalker? Certainly doesn't look like him in the sketch. Not even remotely close, except for somewhat a similar generic boomer comb-over haircut. Was a crime committed? The sketch certainly has a resemblance to him. Okay. Reading the Sun articles now, I know it seems like a sketch. All they have to go on is that his mum lived in Virginia and he would go down, sometimes with his wife, Virginia to visit, but the killings were a good drive away from his mum's house. Did she not question him leaving? The coloured pencil sketch provided by the other victims don't look at all like him. Okay. There doesn't seem to be any proof that he had a truck like the one linked to the killer. There's the green truck, the dark green truck at his brother's house. They actually took it by Warren. I was stalked in 1991 on Interstate 81 to Interstate 60. Oh wow, outside Charlottesville. I feel firmly it was early work on the RT Stalker based on the composite of the Larry Breeden character. They show on the state police website. I can confidently say it was not Rex. This man was average build, maybe 5'9", 5'10". Face to face. Yeah, things happen, love. Yeah, it's interesting. I always like the people's encounters of him. They're not very easy to hear. It's very, it gives me the chills. But one I've got on my list I want to share with you is this one. Okay, I'm gonna look at that first up. Not my video actually, but list. Oh, for fuck's sake. And I will go through with these with you because I think people need to know a little bit more details to why I think the way I do. I mean, there's a reason. But, I don't expect people to have the same reasons as me, just because, I don't unsubscribe to people because they don't have the same viewpoints as me. It's just lame, isn't it? It's just a lame way to be. But it's a really chilling story, this. Don't know how many I've got. Okay, it's not there. That's annoying. Because I like to put other videos and it's just giving me a... I see what I've done, stupid woman. Okay. I don't know why it sends me to bloody studio. It's showing all my details as well. Sorry, give me a moment, please. Don't run away. I know you're all dying to watch my channel. You know, freaking hell. Anyway, I'm just trying to get through. I don't think it's YouTube. I love YouTube. I do love YouTube. I spend my life watching about Free Eye Atlas all day. I can't live without YouTube. It's not YouTube's fault. I clearly am doing something that's not finger in the system, you know, not working. I don't know, you know, just trying to be, I don't know. What's going on my nerves? Because I'm trying to choose a video, not trying to play all. Oh, for fuck's sake. I swear. Crazy. Right, this is the list. Okay, it keeps doing that and I'm really annoying, you know. I want to see the 85 videos. I don't want to play every one of them. It's doing it again. And it's not it's not an old one, but you know, it's makes sense. Watch that, you moron. Okay, hold on. Okay, no, it's like, wow, why can't you just understand? I'm trying to like look through the list. This one went on 2 dates with him.
Encounter. Yes. Just, you know, start with 2007. What was that like? And how did it come about?
Okay, so let's see. I did the dumb thing of moving to a city where a guy I liked lived. And I got there, I realized he actually wanted to date me. I was dumb when I was 22 and was like, I'm gonna go live in New York. The guy I like lives in New York. And I got there and I was working at this law firm and I was really depressed and confused and I had a lot of student loans from Dartmouth and I just really wanted a boyfriend. So I went on a dating website actually, which I'd never done before. I thought about whether I want to tell this part. So I didn't know what it was. And had I known what it was, I wouldn't have gone on it. But it was one called Seeking Arrangement, which is like you can ask for like an allowance from men. And now I understand that's like code for prostitution, probably. Or I didn't know. My roommate had a friend who was on there who just found like a rich boyfriend. And I was like, it wouldn't be bad to have a rich boyfriend.
I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really like judge myself too harshly, but I understand like putting that on a soundbite makes it sound like I'm not. And if it's like given in context, I don't mind. If it's out of context, then I wouldn't want it out there. But if it was like in the context of like I'd never done something like that before, I didn't really understand what it was. I just put on there that like I was out of college and like who if we got married would help pay off my student loans was kind of what I put.
Yeah, contextually it's helpful for me.
That's how like so it was like I had too many student loans. I was like I don't know how to pay them off. And if I married someone rich, like if I fell in love, I was like if I fall in love with someone rich and he wants to pay them off, like that's okay. Also like weirdly I got into like kind of a messed up mindset around this I think because I've gone to Interlochen Arts Camp.
If you're in that mindset that you're not looking for someone who's independent, who can look after himself, who can support you, who can you're living in La La Land. That's what women need. They need a man with security and to make them feel. And when a woman's like vulnerable like this, humans grabbing hold of that vulnerability and tacky how he treats that. It's really terrible. It's really frightening.
Camp where like Jeffrey Epstein had a cabin and someone had worked in like publishing or arts would just like find an older man who was interested in your career, like try to help support you. And I was from Idaho, which was like very patriarchal and like it was just like men support the women. So like I had messed up ideas about gender roles back then.
You know, that sounds great. Life is like when you're that young and you don't have money, it's like so hard to like stability is like it's so hard to comprehend that you're like, could it be that easy? That sounds great.
Yeah.
So I completely understand the confusion.
But so he was the only person I met on this website. And after that, I was like, that's a bad thing to do. Like, I was like, don't date for money. Like that sort of like disabused me of that being a good idea. These two dates I went on with. And so this was in 2007. So, and I have some like, to the best of my memory, this is what happened. And I'm always like a little in shock. I'm like, was that really him? I'm as sure as I could be, like, I believe it was him. He said his name was Andrew on the dating website, which I learned, my therapist was the one who's like, well, that's his middle name. And apparently he had said that to other
people all the time.
I didn't know that. So like when I just saw in the news and it said his name was Rex, which is my sister's ex-husband's name, I was like, that guy looks like that guy I went out with, but his name was Andrew. And like, I feel like a little nauseous thinking about it, but I'm happy to tell the story because it's in retrospect so wild. Like the way that like what actually happened. And how much detail do you want? Because I can give you my full account.
I would love all of it.
Okay, so yeah,
as much as you're comfortable saying.
I'm happy to. I'm usually pretty much just an open book in life. He, like, I on that website, like most of the people like seemed more transactional, and were like, he was one person who didn't seem transactional. So I was like, he just was like actually offered to take me out on a date without like saying like any like. I knew that like I knew it was like. I thought he was just like a rich guy who wanted to take me out on a date, and he claimed he lived on the Upper East Side. And he had a very, very, very vague profile, and he said he worked in finance. And I had thought about working in finance because I had like a math background. So I was like, also like, oh, maybe I'll meet someone in finance, and like maybe if it's not a good date, like he's a job connection or something. Like you never know, like what comes out of a first date. And like I was open to like I'm always open if you meet someone, it could go like turn into a romantic thing. It could just turn into like a friend. Like I don't have that kind of rigidity around like or expectation around like first meetings with people, I guess. So I was like, he's worth going to meet, even though like he's much older than me. And I was like, quite sure it was him because some of the pictures in the documentary I watched looked very much like, if they weren't the same pictures on his site profile, I think they were like almost identical. There was one of him in like a suit and a red tie. I think I remember that, like, and he had like glasses on in one picture. I couldn't tell really like what he looked like and how tall he was because they were sort of like close cropped of his head. But his profile was just very vague and had like a rich zip code. And now I know that's a red flag. I'd never been on an online dating site before. Like I was just this naive, very sheltered, trusting person. And he told me he had tickets to see a screening of No Country for Old Men, where I believe the filmmakers were there to talk. If my memory is right, like I believe like Javier Bardem was going to be there, and it was like a private screening on like the I want to say it was on the Upper West Side somewhere. It was wherever the Mandarin Oriental is, because we met there first for a drink at some bar. And I remember I walked into the bar and I was like, because I had like some vague, I was both like, I was like the worst target for this because like I had the like oppression of like Idaho submissiveness, and then I also had like I was like glammed up like a Vegas girl, so I was like wearing a mini skirt and like these like platform shoes and like a cute little outfit, and I was like much more like glammed up than I am now, I guess, and like I had like big eyelashes and like blonde hair, and like I was just like I probably looked a little trashy, honestly, and like I walked in and he like was sitting there at the bar drinking a drink, and he like almost spit out his drink, and he's like, "Whoa, you're a total hottie." It's like a gross loud way, and I was like, I my skin sort of crawled from that, and I was like, I kind of want to leave, but I was like too much of like a people pleaser to leave. So, and I was like, well, I'll go, and like it'd be fun to see this movie. I've never been to like a screening with like the filmmakers. So we sat and talked at the bar for just a little bit, and then we mostly just went to this movie. And at the movie, he said a few things to me that were like weirdly demeaning during it. Like I remember we were sitting very close to the stage where like the filmmakers were, and he was saying, I was like, it's so cool to be in the same room with these people. It makes it feel like I could like be a filmmaker or something. He's like, you know, there's a big difference between a person like you and a person like them. And like, you're not them, basically. And like, I am now, like I've been a successful TV writer for a long time. So like he was wrong, but he was like very much trying to like demean me, I guess, in ways that I didn't really like register back then as like a red flag. Cause I lived through a lot of abuse growing up. And like that's been a thing I've had to like cope with as an adult and like go to therapy for. But I wasn't really primed to hear red flags. And the thing that like I do remember is like only ever seen two people get like really like red to the point that they looked like aroused from like excitement. And once was when I got really like ripped off like buying a mattress, and like this like sales guy was like hyperventilating and like turning red. He was like so excited, like it was like there's this predatory thing like going on in his brain. And this man had, I also want to call him Andrew because that's how I met him, but name's Rex. So Rex was like breathing heavily and like didn't like. Now in retrospect, I was like, he was like turned on by it, and I wouldn't have known to name it that then because I was like just wouldn't have known how to like name any of these things back then. But I just remember that sort of like hyperventilating, like red face breathing. And also the other thing that happened that this seared into my memory is like Javier Bardem was there to talk afterwards. And I swear he kept making eyes at me, like, get away from him. And I don't know if he just picked up on like something in his psychology that's like, I recognize that from my character study, or like, I don't know like how he knew that, or if that was just somehow like I'm projecting that. But long before I knew who this man was that I went on a date with, because I just thought I went on a date with like a rich finance guy in New York who was like awkward and creepy. But I had told this story about how this one time I'd been at a movie screening and Javier Bardem kept like looking at me, and I was like, so strange, because like he was dating Penelope Cruz like right around that time, and I was like, there's no reason. Like I knew he wasn't like making eyes at me in like a suggestive way, but he was like, there was something there.
He that could have been like, what is she doing with him?
I think a lot of people have like actually also asked that, because like he's been described as like ogre-like, and like he was younger looking then, and like he was tall and like a big guy, but he wasn't like,
to me,
I don't know.
Like you can see his soul now that you know. Yeah. Now he's disgusting because you can see his insides on the outside for some reason. But I know what you mean. He's not like conventionally disgusting. He's like,
he looks like a rich nerd. He looks like a lot of the guys from Dartmouth, and he looked like my dad's friends, and like he looked like my dad's a lawyer. Like I'm kind of estranged from my dad, but like he just looked like any rich conservative man. Like that's just, and like I knew a lot of them. I went to Dartmouth. I went to a school full of frat boys whose dad looked like that, and he looked like old enough to be my dad. And I think that was I think he must have been like early 40s, and I was like 22. He's either late. I don't remember if he said late 30s or early 40s. Like I knew he was much older. I didn't know. I was like, well, I didn't know. So at the end of the movie, I remember we rode down on the escalator, and I was like, I don't like this guy. I want to go home. And I was like trying to hurry out of there, and he like tried to ask if he could at least like, I think he offered to just like give me money for a cab, and told me like the subway was like full of germs and scary and I shouldn't get on it. And I was like, oh no, I ride the subway, I'm fine with that. And he's like, remember he pulled out his wallet and was like, are you sure you don't want money for a ride or like a ride or something? And I was like, no. And I left, and I wouldn't have a good feeling from that date, and I didn't like the demeaning things he had said. And like I just and also like he just didn't really want to talk about I wanted to ask him about his work, because I actually thought like the finance job he said he did, which I now know isn't real, like I was curious about it, and like he didn't seem to have a lot of knowledge about it. Like I felt like I knew more about it than he did, and that seemed strange. And also like he didn't seem as sophisticated as a lot of other like people in those jobs did. He didn't have quite the polish that I would have expected, but I actually found that kind of nice. I remember, because I was from Idaho, and I was like, I always felt a little bit like an outsider in those worlds, and he sort of said he was an outsider too, is how he painted it. But so I remember like, I think I was texting him on my work BlackBerry for like, he was over to read actually, because like, I don't remember if I even had my own cell phone then, or if that was my only phone. I think I must have had like, I think I had a flip phone, and I think I used that phone, my BlackBerry, because it had like a map of the city, and it actually like, you could text on it, and like it sort of was like connected for texting and emails. And I'm pretty sure I texted him from this work BlackBerry. And while also messaging him on the dating site, and like he wanted to go out again. And I remember I consulted with some people, and I was like, I really like him, I don't want to go out with him again. And they're like, well, sometimes first dates are like not the best, but if there's anything like you're curious, like just go one more time. So a serial killer.
You went a second time?
Oh, there was a second date, and one's far worse.
Okay, go.
So this is when I actually like got to know him.
Listen, though, normally that is very good advice, because first dates with strangers, like that's actually great advice. Just hide, obviously, colors that. So your friend was like, that same advice, like people aren't the best, try again. So what was this?
It's like you're only 22, you don't have that much experience with dating. Like just he might grow on you, and it might confirm that you really don't like him, but like they're like, what's the worst that could happen, basically. And they like, the best case scenario is you meet a rich guy and get married when you're like young, and like you have it. And I was like, and at this point I was like, I don't think I'd want to marry someone just for money if I don't like them, obviously. Then I don't. From this I was like, you just don't date for money, is what I came out of this like one experience. But and it's sad I had to like learn it that way, but that is how I really learned it. He took me to this restaurant called Vong, which is like, he took me to proper dinner, and I told him he was gonna take me somewhere else, and I said, I'm like a vegetarian, so I need to go somewhere that has that. And that's when he suggested this place, and he said it was near his office. I think it's in Midtown. It's closed now. It was the restaurant Danielle or whatever. Danielle. Do you know